Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another production of EGTV. What time is it? Well, it's about some time for some girls basketball. I'm Kyle Smith, alongside my partner in crime and color commentator, Bob Ilsoe, for this classic conference matchup. The Elk Grove Grenadiers, they're 2-6. They're looking for a win tonight, Bob, but wins might be hard to come by for the Grenadiers because Hersey is 11-0.
Yeah, and Hersey is a state championship quality team, and I feel very bad for them. There's no state championship this year to prove it.
That stinks, Bob, but maybe the pressure's off because, sometimes you're in those situations. Remember University of Illinois when they were undefeated with Darren Williams, D. Brown, and all those players. Kind of were in that interesting spot. Do we need to lose a game to get ready for the tournament? Of course, they lost to Ohio State, ended up going to the national championship game. For Hersey, they don't have to worry about that this year. Just go undefeated, win the conference tournament because you don't have to worry about a state tournament. So maybe it's somewhat of a blessing in disguise. I'm just trying to think of a silver lining because of no state tournament this season.
Well, there probably will be state final rankings to see maybe they finish third in the state or second in the state or what the heck, first in the state. But you brought up University of Illinois. They've got a good one tonight.
They do, and they're looking to get a number one seed for the upcoming tournament, and it's good to see, Bob, for that tournament there's going to be 25% capacity once we get to the round one game.
Yeah, and looking at the capacity here, well, I counted 12 fans during the national anthem, and now how many? There's, 15?
Yeah, I think we're at maybe 0.1% capacity tonight. That's all right. That's why we're broadcasting the game, so feel free to watch it live on Facebook. You're watching a production of EGTV 6 here on Facebook Live, and the on-demand broadcast will be uploaded to egtv.vibit.com. Let's give you the starting lineups tonight. For Hersey, you got Mary McGrath, Katie Idle, Avery Larson, Val Allen, and Mary Kate Fahy.
And what a starting lineup that is.
Sure is. Idle has over 19 points per game. A little bit of Annie get your gun style, whatever you can do, I can do better. Remember we did that Conant game, and their leading scorer had over 18 points per game? Well, Katie Idle, she can do better. 19.5 points per game coming in tonight. She's shooting 39% from three, which is great considering she's also a power forward.
Well, that's the thing. You'd think of her as maybe a slashing guard that's driving to the hoop. She's 5'11".
5'11", and she's joined with the center, 6'1", Mary McGrath. Meanwhile, Hersey in their half-court set. Remember, no opening tip tonight because of COVID.
Elk Grove is in an interesting man-to-man defense here. Let's see if they can stop them down low.
Yeah, zone's not really going to work because they're going to attack the middle anyways with their height advantage. That three-point shot, no good.
Yeah,
boxed out by the Grenadiers.
Yeah, and they have good shooting, too. So if you pack it in on the zone, Hersey will shoot over it.
Got to be a little bit quicker on the contest. Three-point shot, and here we go again. Hersey with an early lead.
Didn't take long to get that first three-pointer.
Just about 42 seconds.
So I like this 1-2-2 three-quarter court press. That's a nice move to get around it.
This is a Hersey team. They have outscored their opponent 682 to 401. Three-point shot for the Grenadiers.
I like that. Duckman was free at the top of the arc and made the three-pointer count, so tied it up early, 3-3.
Lily Duckman with the three. Going to need a lot of scoring from Elk Grove if they want to give Hersey their first loss of the season.
I actually like the starting lineup. I'm a little surprised that Grenadiers are, another three. I'm a little surprised that Grenadiers are only 2-6.
Well, still got a lot of basketball left to play, another week and a half, and then the conference tournament. Grenadiers, they just got to stick to their play. Don't get too antsy with the threes. That's what Hersey wants.
Well, and have patience on that press. It's a strong 1-2-2 three-quarter court press, and there we go. Duckman's hot.
Duckman's heating up.
So if you have patience against that press, you can break it, obviously, with 2 3-pointers.
A lot of patience. Actually, Troush had a chance for the turnaround J and said she kicked it back out to the perimeter. Back out in their half-court set are the Hersey Orange team. Shot no good. Rebounds there, and shot no good, but going to the line for two. That'll be number 15, Avery Larson.
Yeah, both shooters were fouled. You got to keep your arms up, Bill Lambier style. You bring those arms down, they hit the elbows. The first one they let go, and then the second one caught red-handed.
There might be a little bit of a chink in the armor. As we saw yesterday, Hersey only won by 7 over Maine South.
Yeah, Maine South is a good team. But here, Hersey, well, they got to make a free throw here. But so far, every team has scored in every possession on a three-pointer.
That's really good news for Elk Grove. That means they brought their shooting shoes tonight.
Well, they're going to need that. And they're going to need somebody else besides Troush to score points.
They could certainly use Hersey missing free throws, missed both. Not the way Hersey wants to start at the charity stripe.
I also like what Elk Grove just did there. They know the press is coming, so they didn't dribble through anything. They waited patiently. There was no press that time, but you know they're going to pass the ball around the press, not try to dribble through it. Well coached there for a 2-6 team.
Yeah, they're just begging Troush to shoot that three. Duckman driving in. Oh, what a block from behind.
You know, that was a good drive, too. What can you do?
Kind of a bailout foul, but it looked like Troush got a little bit of contact towards the end.
I do not like that call at all. She was set on defense, not moving. The Hersey player crashed into her out of control. That should not be a foul on Troush, in my book at least.
And they're going to call it in the act of shooting. Well, she was definitely in the painted area, so it would definitely be a block, but I just didn't see her go up for the shot.
Oh, I absolutely would have called charge on that. There is no circle at this high school level for one, and I think that's what Brian Lee, the coach, is talking to the referee about politely, we hope. Looks to be.
So weird watching basketball players wear the mask.
Oh, yes, it is.
Well, they missed their first two shots, but that time Katie Idle makes both of her free throws.
Here's where they need that patience. Pass the ball down court. They did it. Again, well coached to break a press. They get a nice shot.
The shot they wanted just couldn't hit. And got to stay patient, Elk Grove. They can't show any signs of frustration. Just got to keep battling. Hersey's going to have leads. You just got to keep battling your way through it.
Oh, wow. Nice shot.
This team is just so complete, isn't it? Driving into the lane, off-balance shot, off the backboard and in.
Yeah, and it was well defended by Troush. What else can you do? We have a timeout by Brian Lee, down by 10-6, a 4-point lead, and they called timeout. That's actually good from Elk Grove's perspective. So they feel they can do better, one would think, even though they're trailing only by 4 at this point.
It's a media timeout.
I guess we're the media.
How about that? We got a media timeout tonight.
Yeah. I wonder how often they do media timeouts when the media is here. We're not used to that.
So 10-6 the score, 4:59 to go. And Brian Lee was really pleading his case. No, I didn't want to call a timeout. It's a media timeout.
And I think the way they work that when they do call the media timeouts is the first timeout gets charged to one team, and then the next media timeout gets charged to the other.
So Mary Kate Fahey with 5, and 5 for Katie Idle. All 6 have gone to Lily Duckman.
You know, we were talking earlier about when you score a lot of points, how many shots is that? So she's got those 6 points on just 2 shots. Well, and a shot block, right?
Yep, so 2 of 3, so 66.67.
Yeah, and that wasn't just a shot block. That was like a shot stuff.
Yeah, this Hersey team just really, really good. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Fremd against Hersey. Obviously, things can change between now and the conference tournament a couple of weekends from now, but both teams great. Obviously, Fremd won the state title last year. Hersey lost in the sectional semifinal, but 2 teams that are well known in this conference, and we'll see what happens later on in the conference tourney. For Elk Grove, don't have to worry about seeding anymore. You just kind of win a couple of games, get some momentum going into the conference tournament.
Well, and it's the feeder programs at both Hersey and Fremd that causes that strength. I mean, sure, they have good coaches, of course, but these players are playing AAU and club basketball from, it seems like, birth, both in Arlington Heights for Hersey and Palatine for Fremd. I don't know if the programs are quite as strong in Elk Grove for club basketball.
Well, we've definitely seen that Elk Grove has struggled a little bit in the games we've covered, both for the boys and girls teams, but we did cover the Wheeling game where the girls heavily defeated the Wheeling Wildcats.
And here's another positive for Elk Grove. They've been against this press about 4 times and yet to have a turnover. Again, that's good ball handling to get the ball in to the front court against this pretty good press from Hersey.
I know that Duckman's been their hot hand, but this is the time for Troush, the senior, to take over, call for the ball in the low block, and unless the double comes, if it's a one-on-one matchup, she's got to take over.
Right, any long-range shots that don't go in, Hersey's going to get the rebound and come out running.
So they're going to try to get it on the low block to Troush. She's setting up. Meanwhile, ball on the perimeter. Out to the left wing side. Dribbled back to the top of the key. There's Patel. 3-point shot, another block. Troush there for the board. Little off-the-glass shot, no good. Rebounded by the Hersey Huskies. They'll push it in transition. And not ready for it was the senior in Mary McGrath, and it'll be Grenadiers basketball.
Is that the first turnover of the game?
Now
we got another one.
Second one.
Yeah.
It's just too much. There's Katie Idle again. 7 points for Idle.
Yeah, this three-quarter court press turned into a full court press. Good job by Hersey, feeling them up a little bit on defense with a three-quarter court press. Now it's turning up the heat with a full court press and trapping.
You never want to lose an undefeated record, but I'm sure Hersey, going up against a 2-6 team, they are going to put it on tonight. As you can see now, it's 14-6. If they're going to lose their undefeated record, it's not going to be to Elk Grove. They're going to make sure of it tonight.
They have a 3-on-2 here. Duckman was wide open underneath. Instead, a three-pointer from long range. Julia Masnika.
Yep, 14-9, and 5 seconds later, it's another basket.
Thing is, again, Elk Grove is providing good defense. Hersey is just tall. They stop and they make those jump shots.
That's now 4 points for Mary McGrath. Timeout called for Brian Lee, 16-9. Game officially not over yet, but man, a long three-point shot. You think Elk Grove has momentum, and then it seems like 5 seconds later, up a little layup in transition. 2 more points go the way of the Huskies.
And you got to give Brian Lee credit right then. His team was trapped in the corner, right? About to get a turnover. Called timeout from the sideline, so he's give his team a chance to get down court again. Again, a well-coached 2-6 team.
This is a Hersey team, obviously led by Idle. McGrath with 13 per game. And don't forget about Larson. Under 8 per game, but she shoots 63% from the field. So efficiency, the name of the game. They score a lot of points, and on defense, they're not too shabby either.
Yeah, I'm guessing a lot of layups off of drives and dishes. And what I like about Hersey is so far from what I've seen, if it's a drive and a dish, it's not a drive and a dish for a three-pointer. It's a drive and a dish for a little 2-foot jump shot.
It also helps when your girls are over 5'10" at power forward and center. Driving in Patel.
Oh, Patel. It was a great drive, just missed the shot.
Yeah, it looked a little bit unfundamental with her left foot going on the layup. Meanwhile, ball out to the three-point line. Shot no good. Rebounded by the Huskies, and we'll have a tie-up. Jump ball, possession arrow.
And back to fundamentals, Patel, whatever on that layup, right? On defense, there was a three-point shot from Hersey, and Patel boxed out that shooter, even though she was 15 or 18 feet from the hoop. That was a fundamentally sound defensive play. And here Elk Grove again, breaking the press.
So the possession arrow of that jump ball goes away. The Grenadiers, Patel with it, looks for Trausch, instead finds Maznika. Guarded closely by Idle. Back out to the right wing, Duckman lost it. And obviously the Huskies get the ball back with under 3 to go.
Unfortunately, Duckman was looking at something else instead of the ball and just went through her hands.
No such thing as a perfect team, but no fouls committed by Hersey, 16 points, and it just feels like they're shooting over 70% from the field right now.
And weapons everywhere.
Trausch, good box out with the board, out to Duckman. And you notice, Bob, that they're really slowing it down. Elk Grove wants to score and not give Hersey a lot of points at the end of the first quarter.
Good tie up there by Masnika. On the last possession, Elk Grove dribbled across and got tied up in the trap. Again, they needed to pass the ball as opposed to dribbling into a trap. And then she tried to dribble out of the trap, and that's when you get into trouble.
Driving in, shot is good. That time it's Mary McGrath.
It's too much for Patel to handle. Nice drive. Here we go again. The second pass right into the middle. They have a 3-on-2 break. Duckman.
8 points now for Duckman. They just need a lot more than that if they're going to win tonight. But I don't think that's on the minds of Elk Grove right now. They just want to get this to maybe 4-point deficit before the quarter ends and see what they can do in the second quarter.
I'm just impressed with their press breaker. This is a very good, strong Hersey state championship quality defensive team, and Elk Grove is breaking the press every time.
Good box out by Trausch. Double comes.
That
tries to break out of it.
Yeah. You're saying it went off for Hersey. I think that was kind of a kind call by the referee. I think he could have called a foul, but instead just chose to give the ball to Elk Grove.
Well, they're going to let him play on. We saw that in the boys' game, too.
Another pass into the middle. That's how you break presses.
I can't read minds, obviously, but my thought process is the officials are letting them play a little bit because they feel bad they didn't play as many games due to this virus.
I wonder if refs do that.
Shot no good. That was not a good-looking shot by Trausch at all. Meanwhile, 3-on-1 for Hersey driving in. Instead passes it. And a nice little fadeaway J with the left hand, 20-11 with 1:15 to go.
Yeah, I would recommend using the backboard on that with her left hand, but what am I going to say? She's a great player.
Maybe she was a little bit out of range for the backboard as she was fading away a little bit. But yeah, she's kind of in no man's land and decided to go with the hook shot. The last second, beautiful layup by Troush.
I like that. Inbounds pass down to the block, off the backboard and in.
And Hersey is so good, Bob. They do not have to hold for the last shot. They can just stay with their set. And if they see an open shot with over 40 seconds to go, they'll shoot it.
Like that one?
Yeah. Patel got a late contest, but that was the shot they wanted. There's Duckman again with the right hand. No good.
Too bad. That was another good drive. Just missed the backboard again. Patel and Duckman both missed that backboard shot. 4 more points would be a big difference in the game.
This is like the Showtime Lakers almost. Up and down the court, finding players where you don't think they're going to be.
You know, maybe this is a good game for Elk Grove. You're playing a strong team. Maybe you realize you're a lot better than you think. And then next time you play somebody not quite as strong as Hersey, you end up winning.
Past half court, 5 seconds to go. An open player driving in. They just couldn't get it that time to McGrath.
It was about to be another layup.
And we'll see a substitution for Hersey. Kelsey Neary, the 5'8 sophomore, coming in. A much-deserved break for Val Allen.
I never understood those substitutions with 2 seconds to go in a period.
Well, sometimes you just do your substitutions when you feel like it, and I think the coach probably wanted to put her in at the 1 minute mark, but there was just no time in the game to put her in, and eventually at 2.2 finally got the go-to by the media table, and she came in with 2.2 seconds. So 22-13 the score. Not too bad for Elk Grove, but man, they really need a lot of three-point shooting if they're going to keep up with Hersey tonight.
Well, yeah. Let's see. Let's multiply that 22 and 13 by 4. So 88 to what? 52 would be the projected final.
That was my prediction. I thought that Hersey was going to get over 80 and Elk Grove over 40.
Yeah. I think I took the under on both of those. Right now, it's absolutely the over. What I was going to say is I think Elk Grove doesn't get back in this game by shooting threes. I think what they have to do is they have to push the ball down low to Troush or Patel or somebody who then can try to get the backboard involved or maybe get a couple fouls called against the bigs on Hersey. And I think you get back into it with a barrage of twos. I would like to see Elk Grove press and see what would happen there if they have a press. Maybe a 1-3-1 half-court trap. Try to take the ball out of some of the players' hands and maybe shoot the gaps. Duckman is excellent to shooting passing gaps. I think that's how you try to get back into this game. Now, they're a well-coached team, even though they are 2-6, so we'll see what they try to do. But at the end of the first quarter, down by 9, it's going to be a hard gap to close.
If you're wondering how good Katie Idle is, I mean, we brought up how efficient of a shooter is, over 19 points per game. How about this for a turnover to steal ratio? 28 steals this season, just 9 turnovers.
Yeah. Well, we noticed that earlier in the game, even with Elk Grove, there were just not very many turnovers in this whole first period. Despite the full court press, Elk Grove handled it very well, very few turnovers. Hersey, of course, maybe has had a couple of turnovers under the basket trying to get some layups.
Duckman with the basketball here in the second quarter. Duckman's been their hot hand tonight, but the problem is, it seems like everybody for Hersey is a hot hand. They're just such a complete team. Driving in, help defense is there. Another block, third one of the night for the Huskies, but Troush is there on the recovery.
A putback with her left hand. Troush has got a basket on the right side of the hoop, now on the left side of the hoop, both layups. That's the key. Elk Grove needs to get those layups underneath using the backboard.
Joshi now into the game.
I remember her from last time we played. She was an excellent shooter. Another easy layup.
Well, the end result was easy, but it was an excellent backdoor cut by Katie Idle. And what else is new for one of the best players in the conference?
Now, interesting, Hersey called off the press. So with a 9-point lead, they figured that's enough. And if it gets closer, I'm sure they'll put that press back on. But we'll see if Hersey goes back into it at all. Whoops.
Yeah, I think you were wondering, Bob, why they're 2-6. It's plays like that. It just seems like every other possession, Elk Grove has these out-of-control plays. Remember in the first quarter where Troush heaved up that shot that didn't even hit rim? That's what Elk Grove's got to work on. If you want to be great, it's not a sometimes thing, it's an always thing, and that's what Elk Grove really has to work on, consistency on the floor.
You're so right about that, although I have to wonder on that particular shot, how does she miss the backboard and the rim on a shot without being pushed?
Decision time now for Elk Grove. You don't want to be in foul trouble, but these layups are just way too easy. They're going to have to start fouling a little bit. See if they can earn it at the charity stripe. Remember, in the first quarter, as there's a steal by Hersey, looking to go coast to coast. Shot no good. Rebounded. Turnaround Jay. That one won't go. Third chance opportunity. Now a fourth chance. Finally, a foul comes.
Just too big. Troush is in there in good position for the rebound. She doesn't have enough help from her team on the boards and just can't do it all underneath by herself.
There's that X Factor player we were talking about, Avery Larson, coming into tonight shooting 63% from the field. Just 8 points per game, but they don't need a lot of scoring. They just need efficiency from her.
So with all those rebounds underneath, what Elk Grove needs to do is each grab the opponent and push them far away from that basket, box out. And they all have to do it. They can't leave anybody open underneath.
The problem is, too, Bob, there's just so much size and strength from Hersey. A lot easier said than done.
Exactly right. And they have to push hard because they are bigger and taller.
Got to get positioning and creativity. Those are the keys to rebounding. Dennis Rodman wasn't always the tallest player, but usually the most creative in terms of getting that board. Also, a lot of willpower from Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, that's for sure. He had a different style than most rebounders, too. He would just go up and not really try to rebound it, but try to tip it to himself.
Turnaround Jay coming up from Troush, no good.
Yeah, again, it has to go off that backboard. Maybe take a fake and get the balance back. Oh, we're going to see a three-pointer here.
Here's a shot at the top of the key. Off the back iron, no good. Another offensive board. That's killing the Grenadiers right now.
Yeah,
look at that dribbling. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, they need to crash the boards with all 5 people and box out. They can't give second shots to Hersey. That's why.
Too many open shots. That time it's good by Fahey, the 5'8" senior.
But I think you hit it earlier when you said it's easier said than done. You've got 5 excellent Hersey players charging the boards as well on those shots.
Just the size, too.
Mm-hmm.
I know that the coaches will always tell the players, oh, standings don't matter, try your hardest. But it's got to get into your psyche a little bit, seeing a team on the stat sheet that's coming in at 11-0. And they already beat the Grenadiers earlier this season, 62-40. Remember, there's no non-conference games, so there will be at least 2 games between some of the teams in the conference, maybe even 3. It's just so weird. No non-conference games, no non-conference rivalry games, and, of course, no state tournament.
Yeah, and that's got to be hard on Hersey because they need a tough schedule to continue to grow as players. And the rest of the teams in the conference are just not up to Hersey's level.
Well, this might be the best team in the state, about 11-0. They beat a couple of teams in the top 10 this year. Another steal. I mean, they're putting on a clinic tonight.
Well, and Elk Grove isn't playing badly either.
They're not. I mean, a couple of steals as I squeaked there. And as you see, that's 10 points now. For McGrath, she's not even their best player. They don't even need Idle tonight. And she's given them 9. It's just, there's so many players on this team. There's a block from behind.
That's the second time that Joseph has been underneath and open that wasn't able to close the deal. She's only 5'3", though, in the land of the trees.
It's also not helping me that Hersey, they have the gray numbers, so I can't see them that well. That's all right. I'm doing the best I can. The foul on the floor. Grenadiers basketball. Patel looking to check back in.
Yeah, talking about eyesight, I'm wearing my glasses, right? And, of course, when you wear a mask, your glasses fog up just a tad.
Timeout on the floor. Brian Lee not happy. You know, I never went to Hersey, but my cousin did, and I always asked him this. Okay, you went to Hersey, so when you got home from school, did you ever crave a Hershey's chocolate bar? And he said, like, for his first 4 years at Hersey, because he also went to Hersey because his cousins were athletes when he was younger, to go to his brother and sister's sporting events. And he said, whether I was a student or going to a sporting event, I always crave Hershey's chocolate.
Does he still crave it?
No, because he's no longer at Hersey, but those 4 years that he was there, always craved it. And the first time I heard the name, oh, cool. We're going to a place that's sponsored by Hershey's chocolate? No, Hersey, Kyle, Hersey High School.
It looks like it's got the same font as the Hersey, or as the Hershey bar font on the chocolate bar. So it almost does remind you of that, just missing the H.
A little bit of trivia, Bob. Do you know where Wilt Chamberlain scored his 100 points?
Well, it sounds like it's going to have to be somewhere in Philadelphia, right?
No, it was in Hersey, Pennsylvania.
All right.
Thought you would kind of get where I was going with that call to fame, but you didn't catch on there.
I think I failed.
You had one job, Bob, and you failed. That's all right, though. We still love you.
Another
32-15.
steal.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, she was standing in the gap, and still the pass got made. It was an easy pass to tip away. Those are the kind of turnovers you just can't make, and that's, to your point, on why you're 2 and 6.
It's an always thing, not a sometimes thing. We've seen some good from Elk Grove, but unfortunately some bad, and you just can't show that a lot of the time against a great team like the Hersey Huskies.
Right. That's why coaches keep saying the word consistency. You can't just be good some of the time. But when you do raise that consistency, where there's fewer turnovers and more unbalanced shots, you can get a lot more wins.
Tiffany Joseph coming in for the Grenadiers.
Tiffany Joseph.
And Sydney Joseph
Yeah,
also
right.
on the floor.
I did a double take and looked at the roster, and I'm guessing sisters, twins, junior and junior.
Stephanie Quatapizzi as well. Really in there for the size to try to match up with McGrath and Idle. Oh, look at those dribbles. Behind the back, out to Patel. Mid-range jumper is no good. Went off both sides of the rim. Rebounded by the Grenadiers. Blocked, gets her own shot, and then she stepped on the baseline.
But I sure like her quickness. Unfortunately, just 5'0". Her sister, assuming a sister, 5 feet 3, both not real tall in the land of the Giants here.
Number 15, Avery Larson.
But quick. Good
Avery
ball
Larson.
handling skills.
Avery Larson coming in. Mary Kate Fahey back on the bench. 32-15 for the Grenadiers. You're just hoping to get this under 10 points, just to have some kind of hope going into halftime. Not the shot you want to give up if you're Elk Grove. And when you're good, Bob, sometimes you get those lucky breaks.
I was thinking you want them to take those corner threes, but it went in after a couple of caroms.
Well, if it's contested, sure. When she's wide open, not so much.
That's a nice offensive set right there, where Joseph comes over the top, wide open for a layup. Now she kicked it out and then missed the 3, but I like that play.
This just kind of reminds me of the Jazz offense when Jokic is leading the show and he's throwing full court passes to Gary Harris and Jamal Murray.
I think Elk Grove would like that comparison.
No, I'm talking about Hersey.
Oh, Hersey on that one. They'll take that comparison too. Another steal.
Jeez.
Yeah.
39-15.
Now the turnovers are starting to mount.
And I think you're going to see the bench open up for both teams tonight, as just not in the cards for the Grenadiers tonight. And in fact, it might not be in the cards for any team this season. Hersey is just absolutely amazing.
I would like to see Troush back in the game because there is a down low presence that Elk Grove desperately needs here.
Going to see a couple of substitutions for the Grenadiers. Fahey coming back in. By the way, they have a lot of size. Lindgren off the bench is 5'11", Jacobson 5'11", and Kupsik at 5'10". So if this game starts to get out of hand, where Elk Grove starts to pick at that lead a little bit, you can always go to the bench with more size to give Mary McGrath and Katie Idle a rest.
Well, and that's the thing you notice right away with the Elk Grove roster. There's only 2 girls on the entire team that are 5'10" or taller. And I don't see anybody even 5'9", so that means the next tallest person is 5'8". It's just not a tall team in Elk Grove.
If the reason they're so tall is because they ate their vegetables, I'm kicking myself for eating sweets all those years as a teenager. A lot of tallness on this Hersey team. Not just that, though. Excellent passing, excellent teamwork, knowing where everybody is, spacing out, always moving. There's another offensive board. They're just killing Elk Grove on the glass.
Well, there is a height differential, and again, with man-to-man defense, if you can run your offensive sets correctly, when you take the shot, there's always a weak side rebounder. If you stay with, there's the offensive rebounder. There was underneath waiting for it. If the ball went off to the right, it was another rebound. So Hersey has a good man-to-man offense. It's not just talent; it's good coaching.
And this is a Hersey team led by head coach Mary Fenley, assistant head coach Julia Barthel.
Another shot off the glass for Troush. It just didn't fall is all. Oh, could have been over the back. Good rebound by Hersey, just too tall.
They're kind of just toying with Elk Grove. That was early on in the, well, somewhat of a shot clock. We don't have it at the high school level, but if we had one, they would have had the shot clock reset, and then right when they get the offensive board, a mid-range J fell.
Yeah. I don't know how you do this, but somehow Elk Grove has to find a way to be more physical to push Hersey away from getting all those offensive boards, and then another easy turnover.
And the 30-second timeout called by Hersey, coming in again for the Huskies.
This is excellent gamesmanship by Mary Fenley. She knows what her offense can do, but she's given the seniors some well-deserved minutes off the bench to finish off this first half and going into the third quarter. Excellent decision by Mary Fenley.
With 37 seconds to go before the half.
And they're probably going to play most of the third quarter, too. I mean, do you really need to see a lot of McGrath and Idle the rest of the way? Probably not unless this game gets closer, under 15 points of a lead.
Except that there's fewer high school games this year, so they can afford to play those players a little bit longer.
Remember, you still got the conference tournament, so...
Right, but they need enough court time to stay sharp. So we think it'll be, what, Hersey versus Fremd in that conference tournament final?
I would assume so, but they also beat Fremd, so maybe Fremd isn't as good as last year. But Hersey, man, 11-0. And by the way, they're not the #1 team in the nation right now, according to Max Preps. And the nation, I mean state, because you can't really compare the nation, because some states have been playing all year. Illinois got a really late start due to the virus. 3-point shot coming up. Nothing but net. Drano from downtown, and it's a 46-16 game.
Hersey has a great team through and through, not just the starters. Oh, I like that shot by Duckman, unfortunately too strong. She was straight on the hoop, which is the easiest shot to make, just missed it. Hersey shouldn't be able to give up that shot.
Another offensive board, and that will end it for the first half. So going into halftime, it's Hersey 46, Elk Grove 16. We're going to take a break. Coming up next, second half of action. You're watching a broadcast of EGTV Sports here on EGTV 6. Back to the second half of action. Kyle Smith alongside Bob Vilsaway. 46-16, Bob. We pretty much expected this to happen, but even though we expected it, what more can we say than this Hersey team? It just stinks there's not a state tournament, because this Hersey team could win the state tournament, and honestly, I think they could do it with an undefeated record if we had one this season.
It sure would have been fun to see. And then they extended that lead, 9 points to 30 points now. And so if you were to double the score, it would be, 92-32? So the 90 is over the 80, and the 32 is well under the 40.
If you're wondering how dominant Hersey has been this season, New Trier is usually a powerhouse for a lot of different sports. They beat the Trevians 74-32.
Boy, I love that rebound. She was high in the air and tossed it to her teammate for an easy layup underneath.
48-16, and we're going to be saying a lot more of Hersey scoring points versus the Grenadiers, unless Troush can heat up quickly.
Well, they need to get layups underneath.
They just need points and steals and maybe a prayer, and maybe we can make it a 10-point game before the fourth quarter starts.
Well, Elk Grove has missed. Oops, that's another ill-advised pass. But Elk Grove has had some layups, and they've missed them.
I think what Elk Grove is learning the hard way, when you play great teams like this, you really got to heed those passes. Those little soft passes, they might work against Wheeling, but these great teams against Hersey that always have active hands and are eyeing you all the time on the perimeter, those kind of soft passes aren't going to work, just like that one.
Just like that one. It was a pass into the middle. It was well covered, ill-advised. They were more patient in the first half than they are now.
By the way, Idle and McGrath are so good on defense this year. Coming into tonight, both have 2.8 steals per game. So don't feel bad if you're Elk Grove about all the steals that have happened tonight.
Well, it's like you said, though, with crisper passes, that would reduce the steals.
Patel, good-looking fadeaway jumper. That time it just doesn't fall. And Hersey going to play a little bit of slowdown action as this game is fully in control the way of the Huskies.
Well, I would fully expect Hersey, if they get the rebound and the outlet, they will run.
Just look at that move. Up and under move. Gets the friendly roll. It's just beautiful to watch. Now 20 points for Idle. She's got to be shooting at least 60% tonight.
Another steal.
And now if you're head coach Mary Fenley, you're just hoping that your players don't get hurt. We got the win intact. Nobody get hurt. We're good.
Well, I think, like you said, we're going to see a lot of the bench as the game finishes here.
Open shot, great screen off the inbounds play, but just can't get it to fall. Julia Masnika with the air ball. Meanwhile, Hersey the other way. Another layup and another 2 points the way of the Huskies.
Yep, another quick, fast break. That shot on that last one, I liked the shot okay, but it wasn't in system because there was nobody rebounding on the weak side.
Back out to Patel, top of the key. Troush with the pump fake. We're going to get another substitution for the Grenadiers. Driving in, beautiful drive. And then another block at the last second. One-on-one the other way. Oh, what a steal by Masnika. Look, they're still playing. They know this game's fully out of hand, but they're still playing. They're not just going to let Hersey run them out of the building.
Well, and I like it. There's still pride involved as well. A long shot from Duckman. And an excellent rebound. It was Joshi?
Joshi, yep. Yeah, a lot of pride still being shown by the Grenadiers. Duckman going hard to the lane, trying to get the and one. Instead, she'll try to get 2 shots at the charity stripe.
Remember last time we watched Elk Grove, I really liked Duckman, especially on defense. Very, very active. Continued to try to shoot those gaps.
Megan Morris will check in for the Huskies, and we'll see Tiffany Joseph, the junior guard. Very small, 5 foot for the Grenadiers.
Yeah, unfortunately for her, height matters in basketball.
Not for everybody, though. Muggsy Bogues, Isaiah Thomas before we had hip problems. The other Isaiah Thomas, not Zeke for the Pistons, although he was only 6'1".
Isn't that funny? Only. So he was my height, and he was considered short in the NBA. That's why I never made the NBA.
But then again, Sean Bradley was 7'6", and everybody dunked on him.
Yeah, I used to always say, how tall would I have to have been to be, with the same talent I've got, a pro player? 6'10", 7'6", 9'8". How tall would I have to have been?
Basketball is just one of those sneaky tough sports. You think, oh, if I can just shoot, I could be in the NBA. But shooting the basketball by itself is hard. Then you got to get back on defense. Then you got to be able to take the charge. Then you got to be able to, space out the floor, have good conditioning, make good passes. It's
a very, very physical sport.
Especially on the feet. That's why Achilles injuries are so common in the NBA. And it's just a shame for some players, especially DeMarcus Cousins, what his career would have been if he hadn't suffered that Achilles injury.
Well, and then there's Derrick Rose. It's not Achilles, but that injury changed his path in the NBA. I'll say it that way.
Wasn't it the ACL and the LCL?
Yeah, I think it was.
And then, of course, the torn meniscus.
Yeah, he had some real bad luck. But he put so much torque on his knees on those drives to the basket. Unfortunately, and I hate to say it, it didn't surprise me.
Sports is an unfun game and unfair. Like, look at Russell Westbrook. He drives the lane, and he's had some injury problems, so not nearly as bad as Derrick Rose. Meanwhile, Hersey in their half-court set. Morris off the bench, and it's kicked back out to the top of the key. Mary Kate Fahey coming into today over 12 points per game.
Well, Elk Grove went to a 2-3 defense here. So now Hersey is going to look it over a little bit, be patient, find the open player. And right underneath. Whoops.
That's all right. I'm bigger than you. I'm just going to get the board. You're wondering, if you're watching at home, how do you stop that? You got to hip check a little bit. I'm not saying, you grab into the hip where the officials see it and they call the foul, but you got to, play the body better, use your positioning, and then read the shot.
Well, I think it was a little different than that. It was a backdoor cut, right? And Troush just was looking the other direction when it was McGrath just snuck behind her.
Well, no, after she missed the layup, it should have been rebounded by Elk Grove.
Yeah, you got to box out after the shot, right? But McGrath equally boxes out. I mean, she's hard to move away.
She just puts her hands up, and it's a rebound every time.
Mm-hmm. Well, and she's smart on her location. She knows where to be under the hoop. It's not just boxing out, right? You have to box out such that the ball is likely to come to you as well.
If you're wondering at home how to beat this team, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe make them earn it at the charity stripe. They're not the greatest from free throws. McGrath's shooting 82% this season. That's a three-pointer by Duckman.
Another one from Duckman.
Idle shoots 76 from the charity stripe. Cubs 660.
Well,
Fahey's been excellent, 86 from 15 feet.
Yeah, you were saying how to beat this team. I start to wonder, if you were to put an all-star team together with all the rest of the teams in the entire conference, they're half of the conference, would that team even be enough?
Rebounded by Morris.
Now, again, no boxing out on the weak side there. That has to happen.
And Brian Lee's probably thinking, look, this game's out of hand, but we can't have that. We can't have just nobody there for the box out and an easy putback after the missed shot. Can't have that. If we're going to lose, we got to at least lose fighting.
And part of me wonders if that's not good offensive design by Hersey. There's always a weak side rebounder, or if that weak side rebounder just naturally goes to that side when the shot comes from the other. 70% of the rebounds, whoops, through her legs and out. 70% of the rebounds go to the opposite side of the hoop. So if you shoot from one side, 70% of the time, the rebound's going to end up on the other.
And Elk Grove's thinking, oh, good, a bench player. Well, she's 5'11", so it's like, well, she might not be the best shooter, which is why she's on the bench tonight, but she still has size.
That's got to be hard for some of those bench players. They'd be starting on other high school teams.
Yeah, this is like the Harlem Globetrotters, it seems like right now, the way that Hersey's playing tonight.
Patel with a good rebound on that.
If I'm the Grenadiers, try my best to get this to a 30-point or less final loss. Just all dominating for Hersey this season besides last night's win, 57-50. Everything has been double digits.
Yeah, I didn't like that drive there. I liked the drive, but I didn't like the shot afterwards. When you're 5'0" and driving into the lane, you have to have an open shot, or you got to have somebody to dish it off to. It looked like an out-of-control shot, and you got to minimize those.
And Frem, one of their rivals, they easily took care of them, 57-35 last week. Another rebound and a layup, 62-20.
What was that score, 55-37? How do you beat Fremd by 18 points?
57-35.
Yeah, 22 points. Back to the math major problem.
Yeah, math is hard.
Troush doing a great job underneath, bodying up on the low block. She had perfect position, then got fouled over the back. It was a good entry pass down low. That's what, if Elk Grove ever had a chance to win this game, that's the way they had to win it.
I'm just still in awe that they beat the Trevians the way they did. This is just an excellent Hersey team.
Yeah,
62-20. Duckman on the inbounds three. Can't get the friendly roll. Troush with the offensive board. Trying to tie her up on the play was Morris, and we'll have a foul committed by Hersey.
Good hustle by Troush.
And because it's the IHSA, we now have a running clock because Hersey's up by more than 20 points.
Oh, I don't like those running clocks. I don't think that should matter, but that's what they're doing. So every time you sub, it takes more time. The clock runs. I think Troush was shooting. I'm not sure that they called it a non-shooting foul. All right, down low again, doubled. So they're going to double Troush and make it tough on her.
I like it. Hersey knows, hey, we still got a lot of game to play. The game is completely in hand, but we want to continue to play the way we do on defense because we're going to see players like Troush in future games. We can't just go to a different defense and lollygag because that might transition to bad defense in our next game.
Yeah, momentum is key, even from game to game. You gain confidence, lose confidence. Coach sees something or doesn't see something. Makes decisions based on what she saw in a game like this. You have to keep playing hard.
Just so quick on the passes, aren't they? Great ball movement. Everybody's moving. Everybody knows their assignment. Everybody knows their lane.
And it's at the same time, as much as there's good ball movement, it's really good Elk Grove defense as well to keep the ball from getting underneath. Hersey is trying their hardest to get the ball down low on this 2-3 zone.
Yeah, and I think Hersey's also playing a little keep away, run some clock, as that's going to be a tie-up. Possession arrow going to go towards, waiting for it.
So that's
goes towards Hersey.
So that's success for Elk Grove. They played defense for a long time and tied the ball up.
More substitutions coming in for the Hersey Huskies. That's Maddie May, number 2, and Maggie Kaplinger, the 5'6" senior. Timeout called by Brian Lee.
So it's not another one of those deadly media timeouts, right?
4 timeouts remaining for the Grenadiers, as is 4 for the Huskies. And what do you think that the head coach, Mary Fenley, is talking to her girls about?
Run the offense, be patient, and get an open shot underneath. Don't take unnecessary threes. Don't launch the ball off balance. And be patient. You're in the game. You have a chance to show what you can do. Stay under control. Those kinds of things would be what I would be saying.
It's so quiet here, Bob. I think the players can actually hear what we're saying with the announcing, so they're probably thinking, oh, man, it's so quiet. I can actually hear the announcers.
Yeah, they were looking up at us earlier during the anthem, and it was kind of like you wanted to send them a message that says, play a good game. You're going to be on TV here.
I don't think you need to tell Hersey how to play a good game.
That's for sure.
Man,
and likewise,
man.
Elk Grove, even though they're getting beat on the score 62-20, I'm sorry, they are playing a good game. It's just they're getting beat by a very, very strong team.
I think they are, Bob. But remember, it was kind of a game the last time these two played, 62-40. They've only scored 20 points with 54 seconds remaining in the third quarter. So I don't think this is the best we can see from Elk Grove. And that's why you're seeing the frustration from Brian Lee on the sideline.
Well, you also wonder a couple weeks ago or whenever it was that they played, right? Hersey is getting stronger, I'll bet, every time out. There's a lot of potential there. As good as they are, they haven't reached that potential yet. They're going to continue to get better.
3-point shot. Barely hits rim.
Offensive rebound again, Joseph.
Finally goes the way of the Grenadiers.
I like
back out to the perimeter. Sidney Joseph with it.
Yeah, I like that, Joseph.
Which one?
Number 5.
There's Sidney and Tiffany. Tiffany with it now.
Yeah, I like Tiffany. Well, I like them both. They're both quick, fast, just not tall.
But you know who I like better? The whole entire Hersey Huskies team. Make your pick. Mary McGrath, Katie Idle, Mary Kate Fahey, and don't forget about Avery Larson. All excellent. Steal attempt by Joseph, and that will do it for the third quarter. So 8 minutes left of basketball, 62-20. My prediction was Hersey was going to score over 80. They could still do that. I don't think Elk Grove is going to score 20 points this quarter, but I could be wrong.
So the under on Elk Grove is going to be accurate, and I think the under 80 is probably going to be accurate too, especially now with the running clock. And then Sidney and Tiffany, the two Josephs there, are both juniors. Next year they're going to be even that much better. I mean, that's a very positive thought for Elk Grove. The problem is going to be that Troush graduates. Troush.
I guess if there's any good news for Elk Grove, Mary McGrath graduates, as does Mary Kate Fahey and Avery Larson. So we'll see if the juniors of Maggie Clark, Val Allen, Courtney Clayton, and others can do it next year for the Huskies, as the very good seniors for this Hersey team is graduating. But the good news for Hersey is Idle will be back as a junior.
Well, and that's where I feel so bad for the seniors, not with a chance for a state championship, because this is truly, as we have said, a state championship-worthy team, and they're not going to be able to prove it this year, and they won't get a second chance.
It stinks, but nowadays they have all these AAU and feeder tournaments, and I'm sure the girls are doing that, especially if they don't play softball. So I'm sure that they've been playing in a lot of tournaments. Obviously, the states of Wisconsin, Indiana, they've been having their AAU tournaments all year. So, yeah, it does stink, but if you're that good, the scouts will find you.
Well, and it's unfair to the high school players because, you graduate high school. But if this were happening in college, this year doesn't count on your eligibility, and you can stay a fourth year at that school. So if you thought you had a national championship quality college team and you wanted another shot at it, well, you can just play another year. But high school, it doesn't work that way.
It really stunk last year. I really wanted to watch Obi Toppin with Dayton, see what they would do. They were going to be a 1 seed in that NCAA tournament, but of course COVID happened, and obviously not playing basketball is a lot less important than what's happening in this country with COVID, but it was still a shame what was going on, and with no tournament last year. Rebounded well by the Grenadiers. That time it's Julia Maznika, and they'll look to push.
Duckman doing the pushing right through and a nice layup. Too strong off the backboard, but a real nice drive on the break.
If you're wondering why she missed, that was actually pretty good defense by Hersey, forcing her into a tough shot away from her spot where she normally likes to shoot the layup. Damian Lillard, he'll always make that. A high school player, it's tough. Look at that. They're going to say it was on the... Oh, they're going to say traveling.
I like that call. I was hoping they weren't going to call Troush for that. Again, she held her ground. The Hersey player ran into her, took an extra step, fell over, a little out of control. I like that call.
And I'm sure Hersey doesn't care up by 42, but if this was a close game, you might have seen some people arguing that call, that's for sure. But when you play Hersey, nothing's really ever a close game unless they play Maine South.
I usually like it when the offense runs through their offense a little bit and then the shot, but that was a nice, wide open, three-point shot straight on the hoop. Duckman, who's been shooting well all day, took it. I like that shot. I do think Hersey should guard against Duckman taking that shot, though. Steal inside. Duckman. Figures.
Look at the handles by Duckman, looking to go coast to coast. Might have been a travel.
No, that was all right. And a reverse layup that just didn't go.
It was a beautiful reverse layup, though. As single-handedly with her hand, try to do the up and under.
Yeah, Hersey defense was good. They set up underneath, forced her to take a different path to the hoop. Maybe a Euro step would have worked instead of a reverse, but it was good defense by Hersey. Didn't foul.
I think the other reason that they've had the running clock is sometimes when you've had fans in the stands, there's been fights breaking out because the score is out of hand. So the IHSA has instituted this running clock to try to get the people out of the stands quicker. You know, not as many people in the stands. Because if there's a running clock, why do you want to keep watching? The game's going to end soon anyways. Try to get people out of the stands quicker. Try to avoid fights. Avoid bad sportsmanship between fans and parents. More the fans than the parents, but...
I confess that never occurred to me. It makes sense, but it never occurred to me.
Yeah, especially like when you have these inner city games, we can get really outrageous with bragging rights on the line.
Yeah, well, without the running clock, I always thought it was about the running up the score. You know, with the clock stopping, you could end up with 100 points in a game like this, and that really doesn't help either team either. That could be where they're coming from.
That too, but I really think it's just when it's out of hand, try to get the game done quicker and try to avoid fights.
That's the thing. You know, with 15 fans here, we lose track of. These games normally have 300 people.
3-point shot. Kind of a story for Grenadiers. Duckman with the board. Off balance Jay, no good, and it's rebounded well by the Huskies. That time it's Annie Lindgren. And Hersey is just going to play some clock here. Out to Clark. Back out on the left wing side.
Ooh, those cross-court passes I wouldn't advise.
Well, when you're up by 42, maybe you can try
Do
something
anything,
new.
right? Fast break the
pass
other way.
Down the court, out to Duckman. Thought about the three, but the contest was there. 3-point shot from the southpaw. Drano from downtown.
Joseph is not shy.
By the way, Hersey has not scored this quarter yet.
Well, that's because they wanted to keep the score under 88, so I could be correct on my prediction. See, there again, I'm not a big fan of that call. The player went right into her arms, Trausch's arms. There should be no foul on that, but it was called.
Yeah, that's a tough call. But as the defender, if you see that, just keep your hands up straight.
That's what she did.
If she leans in with the elbow, it's an offensive foul. If you lean into the offensive player, it's a blocking foul. So it is fair, but yeah, you're right. It is a tough call for the officials.
Yeah, I would put that one, playing back the game later, right? Put that one in slow motion.
And now in the NBA, they have the challenges, and of course, Van Gundy hates the challenges, and I kind of agree with Van Gundy. I mean, the officials in the NBA usually get it right. And then sometimes they watch it on replay when they challenge it, and Van Gundy or whoever else is on color commentary is like, I have no idea, Mike Breen, what do you think? Mike Breen's like, hey, I don't know. So if they don't know, in slow-mo, where you like slow the frame rate down to 200%, you think these officials can see if LeBron or Andre Drummond got the fall or the offensive foul?
I can sure identify with that. Back in college, I did the refereeing, and it was tough. You had to make that split-second decision right then and there, and, the ball goes out of bounds. Did it hit that knee or his foot?
And then you kind of got to go with the laws of physics almost. If he's outside the restricted area, did he have enough time to get there? Did he have enough time to plant his feet? You're using common sense. You're using logic. You're also using how quick LeBron gets down the court.
Well, and then they're so big and strong. Some people you foul, and it doesn't even faze them.
You could take a bulldozer to try to knock LeBron down. It still wouldn't work.
He's an example of that. He's about as strong as it gets.
Who's your pick for MVP this year, Bob? I got to go with Jokic. I know they haven't won that many games, but all the efficiency numbers say he's MVP.
Yeah, statistically that may be true. I think it's just too early to decide that yet. I think you have to, preconceived, I would wait. I would wait and see who really at the end of the year earns it. I think he's an absolute front runner at this point in time, though. I'm not a big fan of MVPs being selected from the super teams, though. So I don't like necessarily Anthony Davis or LeBron to be the MVP because they're both on the same team, whereas I feel like Jokic is truly a star among others.
if there was an MVP for girls basketball, Katie Idle would definitely win. Meanwhile, on the other side, Troush.
Another backboard shot. I like it.
Just too little, too late. They needed that in the first half, but this is just too good of a Hersey team. I just don't see any team beating them this year.
Well, I think there'll be several undefeated teams across the state, and then somebody's going to have to do some kind of a poll, and then that's who's going to be dubbed the state champion.
Now, they do have a non-conference game coming up, surprisingly, against St. Ignatius College Prep on March 8th. So I thought there was no more non-conference games this year. That might be changed. It might be a mishap in the Max Prep system.
No, I bet it. I'm going to say it's true because you don't have to not. It's the IHSA, I guess, said it's up to the conferences to make that decision on their own. So it wasn't prescribed. So teams can play, but I think a lot of the conferences made kind of a gentleman's agreement, so to speak, that we're not going to do that. We're going to play within the conference, but not everybody has to follow that.
Coming up next for the Hersey Huskies, they'll play Buffalo Grove on Friday, St. Ignatius on Monday, March 8th, and then the final game against Rolling Meadows. Driving in, remember, running clock, and so we'll have 2 shots coming up for Duckman. By the way, Friday night, EGTV will have another broadcast. It'll be Wheeling against Elk Grove. That'll be the boys' game, 7:30 start. It should be a good one.
Yeah, this is hard on the players, I think, shooting the free throws with the running clock. I just hate it. As a player, when you're on the court, you're watching the court time get eaten up. There's a timeout. That's one way to stop the clock. Maybe the coach felt the same way.
Yeah, he's like, we got to get some points, got to get some momentum. And, you know, Duckman has played a really good game. Just a junior, so you don't have to worry about playing one of her last games as a prep star, but you know, you want her to get her as many points as possible. With the running clock, that's not going to happen, so you call the timeout, get her another free throw shot. Hopefully you get a quick stop on defense, and maybe Duckman can shoot a 3 in transition. Well,
and I like the 2 Josephs as juniors, and Duckman and 2 Josephs next year. I mean, that's a start of a pretty decent group.
And you were saying that somebody got 1,000 points for Hersey this season?
Oh, wasn't that Katie McGrath? Or Fahey, Mary Kate Fahey, 1,000 points, right? So the question is, that sounds just like a lot of points. 250 points per year. You play, 20 or 25 games per year to over 10 points per game consistently. We haven't heard her name a lot today.
Haven't had to because you have Idle and McGrath and a bunch of others.
Holy moly, yeah. So many different weapons.
I mean, the game started literally on a 3, 10 seconds into the game.
Well, the first 4 possessions by both teams resulted in threes, thanks to Duckman on the Elk Grove side.
And I apologize, that was 18 seconds into the game. But, yeah, this has just been a clinic by Hersey. It was 6-6, and then after that, it's now 64-27.
Well, and it's also fun to be here to watch a state championship quality team. Although it's a shame that you get to see it without 300 screaming fans, though. Underneath, missed the pass.
Well, they opened up Texas, so if they have the state tournament, they could have 300 screaming fans. In the state of Illinois, no state tournament this year. Lost the ball. Joshi was on it for a second. Bounce pass, beautiful move to the basket. Can't get the layup to go. Hard foul coming up as it was committed by Maggie Clark. And this might be Elk Grove's last possession of the night. As with no shot clock, Hersey's probably just going to hold on to the ball the next time they get it.
Oh, I like to see more action. I hope they don't do that. They might, but I hope they don't.
Sportsmanship says you just hold on to the ball.
I don't know that that's true when both teams have their benches in.
I guess it changes by team, but when I've seen St. Ignatius up by a lot of, they usually just run clock. Of course, that's Catholic League. This is the public league.
I think if you wanted to call a foul, you could have called one there on that drive, but no call with a minute to go.
Yeah, just let the clock run.
And I bet the players are appreciative, too. The last thing you need to see is somebody shooting free throws while the clock runs out.
See what Duckman can do on possibly her last possession of the game.
She is talented. Nice drive through the defense.
Well, partner, it's been a lot of fun. Just wish the score was a little closer, but we kind of figured this. Just Hersey is an animal to have to deal with on the court.
Right, but what a treat to see them. Now we know how really good they can be. And that, even with some of their bench in the game, they're still good. Like that.
Yeah, I'm surprised they're not running clock. And this isn't the first time I've seen that this year. Val Allen with the turn away J.
Well, nobody's going to accuse them of running up the score with the bench in. Oop, blocked twice, 3 times.
That just kind of sums up the night for Elk Grove. Too much Hersey, steals, blocks, 3-point shots, and great basketball overall, and that does it for the score. So, for my great crew tonight with Scott Mayernick and Ross Rowe, alongside Bob Vilsaway, I'm Kyle Smith signing off. Final score, the Hersey Huskies all over the Grenadiers tonight, 66-29. This has been a production of EGTV 6, and we'll see you next time, Friday night, Wheeling against Elk Grove.